Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being with us. Today we have a very special guest. As you know, one of my passions is healthcare, and not only healthcare, but how it is financed and how it is handled. Well, today we have a special person, Elizabeth Townsend. Elizabeth Townsend is a political consultant among other professions. So, Elizabeth, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing great, Egberto. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Earl, I met you via the Bill Birch campaign. You worked for Bill as he ran for Railroad Commission. I think that is a race I was hoping somebody as knowledgeable as he was would win the Democratic primary and take it all the way, because you represented somebody that really knew what he was talking about.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, he is very knowledgeable. He's an expert. He is a true Democrat, and he really wanted to be up there. But, there's always the next election. So if he's listening.
There you go. You better go for the next election. But anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is earlier we were talking about my wife having lupus and at the same time having gotten shingles. And it's such a coincidence that here is somebody that I recently spoke to as we worked together, and we put Bill Birch on. You got him on one of my shows, and here it is. You suffered the same fate. First of all, tell me a little bit about your lupus. How long have you known that you had lupus?
I've known since 2017.
That you've had lupus. Okay. Yeah. So it's about 7 years or so that you've known. And
Yes. Because that's when I was finally diagnosed. It took forever to get a diagnosis. It took years.
It is sad because it is one of those diseases that don't have a clear marker. It's a list of things that tells you, well, if you have these list of things, then we're going to classify this as lupus. There's not a lupus gene or a lupus thing they know about quite yet, at least.
Well, there's a couple of tests that can be done. I forgot what the letters for
the ANA markers.
Yes, the ANA markers. So I had a couple of those, and then I responded to treatment, and so because I responded to treatment and there were the markers, they're like, okay, it has to be lupus, and plus her immune system is constantly just overactive.
Right.
And the last time I was in the hospital, I was there for 2 weeks and I was getting blood transfusions because my red blood cells had depleted completely. And I had no potassium due to too much hydroxychloroquine in my system. And this was right before COVID happened. So.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so let's talk about how you handle it. First of all, had you had insurance at the time of your diagnosis?
No. Typical story of going in and out of the hospital, getting the treatment, getting a Band-Aid put on the situation, getting bills for $50,000 because I had to be kept in for a week for a blood transfusion.
Right.
Or I had my system was just overactive with an infection, like shingles.
Right.
Then they had to keep me. Here comes another $50,000 bill. So I had applied a couple of times to the state for Medicare and Medicaid because I've put money into the system, and I actually honestly believed when it tells you on the application, hey, if you're struggling and you make this much income, go ahead and apply. We'll help you. Right. And I'm thinking my state's going to take care of me. Right. Mm-hmm. No, I was denied and basically told that I had to sue the state.
Before we go to the suing of the state, you were in that sweet spot where you made too much to qualify for the basic Medicaid, but you didn't make enough nobody would take you as an insurance person. I mean, for insurance because you had a pre-existing condition back. Well, that is after Obamacare. So Obamacare would have been expensive, but you could have got it. But it is sad that you can be in that sweet spot that because we as a state have not accepted the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, it doesn't take care of you. So continue with that for me.
They say that there's no money, yet there was $1 trillion offered to the state of Texas.
Right.
And Greg Abbott decided to say no. and play political games with people's lives. And I think that
your life. And the reason I want to specify your life is because people look at these things in an esoteric manner. Sometimes they look at it as if it doesn't really affect people. You were one human being with lupus. You needed care. The people in the state of Texas have already paid taxes into the system. And because Greg Abbott and the GOP refused to accept that from the federal government, your life was in danger.
Correct. Because he wanted to say he saved money and took people off of welfare and benefits and stuff like that so he could run on that platform as governor. That's people die because of these decisions. And these are Texans. These are our fellow Texans. It's easy to get lost in being able to be taken care of and having a home and having all your basic necessities met. But there is a whole large population of people who are destitute, who are disabled because they cannot get the care they need, because they cannot reasonably justify saving their life and their health to the state of Texas.
Let's be clear here, Liz, because I want folks to understand. Were you ever somebody that didn't want to work and carry on and do what you needed to do?
Yes. I mean,
aren't you somebody that paid into the system for decades?
Yes, I paid into the system. I've been working since I was 15. I really believed, okay, I'm in a bad situation. I need the help. The wording on the application makes it seem like, oh, I'm going to get help. No, there's a whole lot of red tape. Every legislative session, it seems like funding is reduced even further, or there's some convoluted rule that needs to be added in to try to disqualify another group of people.
Even as we have in Texas a huge surplus because we don't take care of our own people. We don't take our tax dollars and take care of our own people. I repeat though, Liz, you are not a burden on Texas. You are somebody who has paid your dues in Texas, whether it be employment, whether it be purchasing at your grocery store where you have paid sale taxes and many other taxes, whether it's be renting a home or owning a home where you have paid those taxes, you have been an active participant in this society. The reason I'm saying this above your statement, Liz, is because too often, and a responsible government tries to make those who are saying, I need some support for the state temporarily now, they would make one feel as if they are making an unreasonable request or they are less than, which isn't so. We are all participants in this society and we all make it run. Now, when you found out you applied for assistance to get healthcare, and folks, let's be clear, when she got $50,000 medical bills, those were high level theft, but we'll take that another time. Let's go ahead and talk about what you had to do to get some sort of health care.
It was very difficult because I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the ER, spending a couple of days here and there. Meanwhile, I'm doing all this paperwork. And it got to the point where I had been denied twice and my appeal had been denied. And then they told me that I can, do another appeal, but with in a court situation where basically I would be suing the state, where I got a lawyer and I sue the state saying, hey, I justifiably am reasonably
disabled.
My life is worth saving. Side note, I'm very worried about the future of it, considering women's rights and the rights of disabled in the future and the wording that comes out later, but and how they're going to use that to take people off of the benefits. But it just felt so low having to tell my state, yeah, my life is worth saving. like, why, what about me? What about all these other people, all these other Texans who pay taxes, who pay into the system, love their state, love their neighbor, are good citizens? Why aren't they valued by the system? And it really told me that, you know what, the state, well, not really the state, it is our leaders don't give a damn. Greg Abbott does not give a damn about anybody except himself. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to digest. It's not the state, it's the people running the state and writing the legislation to purposely hurt and undermine marginalized communities. I mean, like, having to sit there and have a judge be like, well, did you pay enough into the system to justify having this $1,000 medication given to you so you could live? And you have a lawyer defending you. And of course, the lawyers take a big chunk. I think my lawyer took about like 45 to almost 50% of back.
The back pay from the disability that they didn't pay you for all those years.
Correct. So there's a whole industry behind that. There's a whole industry of lawyers that are making money off of people's misery and desperation.
And you know what is so interesting? And I wish somebody would do an investigation on that to see how many of these lawyers are tied to the state, meaning the state justifiably denies so that they ultimately will then approve, and the people who help you get approved make a cut of the state's money, because that's exactly what just happened, right? Your lawyer took about 50% of your back disability, which means the state, a lot of the money that would have been apportioned to you now went to a lawyer. And most of these lawyers are, in fact, connected to the state.
Correct.
And Americans need to see this. What we need, of course, is healthcare for all. So ultimately, you won your case for disability. Yes. And how does that work now? I imagine you got Medicaid and Medicaid or Medicare so that you could actually get healthcare.
Or there was some adjustments and different changes to the laws just as Trump was coming and starting to affect the laws. I was able to get into the system before I was basically disqualified.
Right.
So what they do is they go to look at your medical history and your bills, so hospitals have a way of benefiting off this as well, because now those $1,000 bills went to the state.
Right.
And so because I was declared disabled back years before, they were able to be paid taxpayer money, which I thought was like, hey, that's not fair. They shouldn't have charged $50,000 to begin with.
But and now they can bill the state for $50,000.
Exactly. So these private entity hospitals have something to benefit off of the disabled as well, off of people who are going through this process. And so it's like they have an incentive to help people get on Medicaid and Medicare.
It is sad because all around, all of this stuff is so simple, right? All we have to do is have healthcare for all that is needs-based or income-based, because, a teacher with 4 kids may not be able to afford insurance, but they are so valuable to society. We want to make sure that they have healthcare. So we should have a disposable income-based way in which we allocate health insurance. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to make things better for people.
Yeah, because I mean, the writing and what we're sold and what we're told is that if we're in a desperate situation, if you're a good citizen, you pay into your Medicare and your Medicaid taxes, and you pay your taxes well, the state will be there to catch you when you fall, right?
Right. It should be.
No.
It should be.
The state is there to catch you all right, but it's more like a web.
Right. That you fall right through. Well, look, let me just tell you. after you told me your story about having lupus, having issues with insurance, etc., I wanted to get you on so that our audience can hear real stories about what's happening to real people in the community and why, just to start, we need to get the Medicaid expansion to the affordable care so that people won't have to go through what you had, because the time delay, the times that you had to deny yourself health care made you sicker. Anytime you are thinking about, I can't go to the doctor because what if, it makes you sicker, and that is a stress on your life. So the first,
many people have some debilitating illness that is affecting their ability to survive, to have a job, to be able to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head, to have the most basic needs of like Maslow's hierarchy, that it just boggles my mind that, I mean, even pharmaceutical companies have a benefit off of this because there's no negotiating price with the state. They can just charge whatever they want.
Well,
and that ends up putting a strain on the taxpayers. And then they start saying, well, it's because these people are getting benefits from the state, we need to raise taxes. No, that's not the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is this late stage corporate
greed.
Yes.
That's what it is. Corporate greed, and it's a constancy of taking more and more from all of us. They don't accept it that they're the parasites. They are the welfare queens and kings.
Yes.
They are the parasites, not us. They are the parasites. They are the one that suck on everything we do, both from our labor, our work, as well as our monies. That's what they do. So anyway, let me tell you, I want to thank you first of all for talking to me about your lupus, your healthcare situation. And folks that are listening, remember, we're not just about talking about problems. The reason I'm bringing you these issues is so that you know that you are already empowered. Just like Liz was empowered to go ahead and fight for her rights, we need to fight as a collective, so that Liz doesn't have to go out there and hire a lawyer who takes 50%, but we empower and put people in power that are actually going to pass the laws appropriately so that we all have the appropriate health care. Liz, give me a 30-second closer.
Yes, there you get to a point where you wonder, how can you're facing a behemoth of a system that does not work for you. Everyone working together can affect change. Please register to vote. Get out and vote. You might think you're just one little person. That's what they want you to think. You are valued. You are worth something. So to those who are disabled or are struggling, please get out and vote. I know it seems like moving a mountain, but we can do it together.
Get out there and vote, but not only vote, but vote your interests. Vote your economic interests, vote your healthcare interests, vote your social interests, vote your educational interests. Liz Townsend, Elizabeth Townsend, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your support, especially with the campaign. We really appreciate it. And education is the key to getting folks to be active citizens.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.